really beautiful.
I think you'll enjoy it with Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, good.
If you have a KitchenAid mixer, by all means go ahead and use that. I think it's really good to get a feel for making pizza dough by hand. It gives you a sense of what you're shooting for. We use all-purpose unbleached flour, and then we also use durum flour, which it's what your dried pasta is made out of. It has a lot of gluten to it, and I think it gives you a little bit crispier crust. If you don't have it, use 100% all-purpose flour. You're still going to wind up with really, really nice results. Most bakers, this is not the process they would do. Typically, what you're going to do is take your yeast, dissolve it in a little bit of warm water, wait for it to get creamy, get a little bit bubbly. Sort of tells you the yeast is alive. I skip that step. They sell these tools at cookware stores. I'd encourage you to invest in one. I don't know if you've ever baked before and you have flour all over the kitchen. This is going to act as an extension of your hand. And you're just going to go around the edges and pull more flour in and fold it into it. You get something that's really, really rough like that. And you can knead this on a cutting board. If you've got a nice piece of granite or marble or something like that, it's sort of perfect for what we want to do now. After about 5 minutes, it should be nice and smooth, so it looks like a baby's bottom. Just put a little bit of olive oil back into the bowl that you started with, and turn your dough over a couple times. This just keeps it from sticking to the bowl. Our dough has risen. You should be able to poke into it and you still see the indentation. You can just sort of punch this down. Flatten a ball of dough, and then you want to fold your edges in, flip it over, and then this is one of those things that it takes a couple times to sort of get the feel of it, but you wind up with like a nice little roll. Sprinkle more flour over the top, and we'll cover these with plastic wrap. If you have leftover, by all means go ahead and freeze them. If it is during the summer, you can get really nice vine-ripened plum tomatoes. The reality is most of the year, you want to use a really good quality canned tomato. You can chop them, but honestly, all I do is I just crush them up with my hand. So just a moment or two to let the garlic soften, release its aroma. You don't want it to brown at all. It's much more assertive flavor if you do. Add your crushed tomatoes in there. I like to just take a sprig of basil and throw that in, just a pinch of salt, and then you want to bring this up to a boil, and you want to cook it at a fairly lively simmer. The whole idea behind making tomato sauce for pizza is that it tastes bright and fresh like tomato. Don't think of this as the tomato sauce that grandma has on the back of the stove for 4 hours, developing a lot of depth of flavor. You want this to taste like fresh tomatoes. Our prawns have been peeled, deveined, and then we've cut them lengthwise. Add them to your skillet. Don't crowd the pan too much. You want them to cook fairly quick. Throw in a pinch of garlic in here. Again, a shake or two of chili flakes, a little chopped parsley, a splash of Sauvignon Blanc. Create a little bit of steam, but also give us a little bit of acidity. Make things bright. You just want to cook them through till they're opaque. You can leave it nice and chunky like this, or run it through a food mill, or you even pulse it in a blender. First thing to do is to stretch out your dough. You can do this with a rolling pin. I like to stretch them out by hand. I think your pizza is going to have a little bit more character to it. Lightly flour your work surface, a little bit of flour on your hands. With your fingertips, you can mash it out a little bit, and then you can pick it up and just sort of stretch it, and just give it a turn and stretch and turn and stretch. We want to brush this really, really lightly with a little bit of olive oil. And you're just going to flop it on there. Oil side is going to go down first. Once it goes down, you want to lightly brush the top, and then you can pick up the corners, and you should have grill marks. And I'm going to turn it about 90 degrees to ensure that it browns evenly. Flip it over, put it onto a cooler part of the grill. A real light coating of sauce, a few shrimp, a few cherry tomatoes, and then a little bit of cheese. Keep in mind, there's not going to be a lot of heat source from above, so you're working quickly so it has an opportunity to melt. Go ahead and turn that one as well, about halfway through. I have a cutting board close by, tearing some fresh basil up on top. I think it's also nice just to scatter arugula over the top. Got sort of that nice peppery bite to it, which I think is a nice contrast to the sweetness of the shrimp and the cherry tomatoes.
I think the acidity of the wine complements the seafood.
This is a nice dish for when you're out entertaining with your friends and family in the backyard. That casual entertaining that I think we're known for in California.
It goes really well with this.
It's always been one of my favorite wines.
We add a little bit of Semillon and Sauvignon Muscat. It tempers the acidity just a little bit, but it adds a little fullness and richness. No, it's not completely citrus. It has more of that kind of melon characteristic.